I think energy is the foundation for our modern society. I think if you stop and think about it, no matter what we do, electricity is the foundation of it. It's our banking system, it's Amazon, it's you're keeping your lights on in your house. You really can't operate and function in a modern society without energy, without electricity. So how I came to SMUD is I was a law student at the time and I needed a summer job. SMUD had an opening. I came in and I was lucky enough to get the job. But it was an interesting time because I was in the mid-'80s and I came to SMUD. It was a time, everybody will recall, where people wore blue suits, red ties, and white shirts, and I stood out a little bit. I came in and I had the blue suit, so check, but I had a pink shirt and I had a pink and blue tie. And I had Billy Idol platinum blonde hair and a big pirate earring. So I definitely did not fit the mold of everybody I was sitting around. I got the job and I thought I had probably, because I'd been such a brilliant interview, and later my boss said, no, you just really seem more interesting and you were only going to be there for 3 months. So even if you were a disaster, it would have been tolerable. I wouldn't say it was an easy upbringing in some regard because, you know, as a little kid, I knew when we were going to my grandparents for dinner every night for the last week of the month that we'd run out of money. So from that standpoint, that insecurity around not having things came on early. But I will say the other flip side of that is that my mom, while we had no money, was a really loving parent, really encouraging. We had a lot of fun. She was growing up because she was so young at the same time we were. So, so on that hand, it was really easy. On the other hand, it was really tough. So I guess the answer to the question of did I have a tough upbringing is yes and no. So I think in my life, I have two role models. One is my mom and one is my grandmother. And for my mom, what I learned from her was just carry on. Essentially, no matter what is going on in your life that's bad, you really don't have a choice but to square your shoulders and move on. And so she really imprinted that on me as a young kid and as a young adult. And I found that really helpful, and I use that every day in my life. The other one is my grandmother, one because she provided that sense of stability when we were growing up, but also because although she had never graduated from college, she had this love of learning. So before I was even 5 years old, she taught me to love books. And that love of learning is really what allowed me to move and become the first person in my family to go to college, for example, because you know, I love to learn, and that's because of her. And that lifelong learning kind of passion is something that's carried me through. Coming out as a gay man in this industry was interesting because there weren't, you know, I'm a lot older than a lot of young people, so the world was very different in the 70s and 80s, and it was much more complicated to come out. It was also during the AIDS crisis, so there was a lot of fear of gay people, especially gay men, during that period of time. But for me, I had, you know, lived in the closet. I had gotten married really young, probably hiding. I didn't know it at the time, had a kid, and then kind of figured myself out. And it was very hard to continue to tell the lie to myself. But when you start a job, you do that for a while because you need to move forward. And at SMUD, you know, everybody assumed I was straight, largely probably because I had a kid. And the thing is, they also knew I was single. So everybody in the world kept trying to set me up with their girlfriend, their sister, their cousin. And finally, you gotta quit making excuses. And I finally had to go to all my colleagues and I said, you know, I really appreciate that, but the truth is, unless you have a brother or somebody, I'm not really that interested. So I think there's a lot of energy that goes into remembering to use the right pronoun, to hiding who you are. And that's a big drain on your energy and your creativity. So I think it actually holds you back. So I think being able to bring your whole self to your job and to your life actually can unleash a lot of potential in people. So that's certainly what I found. So I think diversity is one of those things that creates strength within a company. I think, first of all, you have to understand that your customers are diverse. And if you don't have a diverse workforce, then you don't understand your customers. You don't have the capability to understand your customers. So I think having a very diverse workforce is really important if you're going to be successful. I think if you think about attracting talent today, we know younger employees value diversity, and they want diversity in the workplace. So if I'm trying to attract the best and the brightest, I need to have a diverse workforce in order to do that. I think when you think about diversity, the other thing is diversity can really be a catalyst for creativity and innovation, because people with different experiences will have different ideas, and those things you can really ferment into something really exciting and really powerful. I think energy can be a really powerful tool to bring us all together. And I think if you think about how it actually creates economic development, whenever you expand access to energy in third world countries, it really stimulates the economy. So it can be a really important tool if used right to address social justice and social equity issues. When you think about the future, when I think about cities and the movement to more and more people living in cities, which creates a lot of challenges, but if you think about a smart city in the future, really the twin pillars of that are energy and transportation, because energy, especially electricity, is going to be that fuel for the transportation of the future. You're going to enable people to have the mobility that they need and the access to the tools they need in order to be successful. So I think it's actually something that can be a really powerful tool to lift people out of poverty if you ensure that everybody has the right access. Essentially, what do I want my legacy to be? Which I guess, since I am towards that end of my career, I mean, I'm going to be 60 next year, so maybe it is time to start thinking about a legacy. I think when I think about my legacy, I would really like to have established kind of a vision that energy is more than delivering electrons to your customers, because I truly believe that SMUD has the opportunity to change the quality of life for the people we serve. And I think we're doing that, and I think we're on the way to doing it even more. And I think if that's sustainable, then I think that's a powerful legacy that hopefully, I can hold on to for years.